Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside Career Technical Education. It's so great to have you along with us today, and let me introduce myself. I'm one of the hosts of this program, Ann Baldwin.
And I'm Ann's co-host, Jim Bologa, President and CEO of Porterchester Institute and YTI Career Institute. Ann, welcome.
Yes, and it's great to have you along, like I said, and always good to see you, Mr. President. And we've got an exciting guest today, and just talking about what Porterchester really has to offer its students, and a big piece of that is relationships, Jim.
Absolutely.
It really is. And we've got Scott Zimmerman with us, and he is the area manager of Bridgestone. And we all know what Bridgestone is, right? You probably got him on your car right now. So, Scott, welcome to the program. We appreciate you being here today.
Great. Thank you.
So talk a little bit about your relationship with Porterchester Institute. You've been a good partner, if you will, for quite some time.
Yes. So Porter and Chester is a very valuable partner for Bridgestone Firestone. And what I'd like to say is actually it's Firestone Complete Auto Care is really the division that I work for. And we're owned by Bridgestone Firestone. But Firestone Complete Auto Care is the company that really works with Porter and Chester students and graduates. And why it's so valuable is that there's a very large need for technicians in the industry, and Porter and Chester is one of our main companies that provides us with these technicians.
Awesome. So Scott, how long have you been hiring our graduates?
So I know that I've personally been involved with Porter and Chester graduates for well over 25 years.
Wow.
That's great. And, it's such a great feeding tool because, with these industry modeled labs that these auto technicians work in at all the different campuses. Mm-hmm. So what is it that you find about these graduates that make them appealing?
So the automotive industry is very complex and there's lots to learn. And before you can start really learning in the field, you need a solid foundation in automotive. And Porter and Chester provides that to the candidates. They give them the basics on automotive technology. They get them familiar with hand tools and power tools, how to work safely in a shop. It's really the foundation that we look for in being able to build a quality technician.
Yeah. It's interesting that all those attributes that come out of our educational program. It's great to hear an employer in our local community talk about that. For a prospective family or prospective student, that's something that we're constantly trying to reach out and explain to parents and to students that this is a very viable option. And where I'm going with this is that. Employment is for us is the key. I mean, that is why we have these educational programs so that there's a pathway to employment. Can you talk maybe a little bit about just the job openings and, the aging workforce and how there's a real need for young people to have an interest as a technician and maybe just talk a little bit of that, given the fact that you've been working with us for 25 years and share a little bit of your experience over that time.
Yeah, well, the industry is tremendous. There is a great need for automotive technicians. Everywhere we look, there's cars and automobiles and even other devices that work off combustion engines. So there's a real need in the industry, and there's something like 695,000 techs. Of a deficit of technicians in the industry.
Wow.
in America today. So there's really a tremendous need. The industry is thriving and it's getting more complex. So automotive technicians and automotive managers and anybody in the automotive repair industry is in great need.
What are some of the things that the graduates, what are some of the duties that they perform, if you will, at Bridgestone Firestone once they're hired? Pardon my being so naive, but when I think of Bridgestone Firestone, I think of somebody changing a tire, but it's much more than that, isn't it?
Absolutely. And one of the things that I like to keep reiterating is that Firestone Complete Auto Care, we're not just tires. We're automotive service and repair and maintenance. And that's why we go under the name Firestone Complete Auto Care, because a lot of consumers just think we're tires. So with that being said, an entry-level technician, when they come out of Porter and Chester, they're going to start doing the basic functions. We want them to be able to lift a car safely. And I know that sounds rudimentary, but it's very important, because a technician can work on anywhere from 3 to 15 cars a day, and we need them to be able to lift cars safely and keep themselves safe and protect the customer's vehicle as they lift it. So lifting vehicles and then starting to do basic maintenance. So they start to learn how to work in the shop and work safely, and they start to do basic functions such as an oil change. And of course, we do sell a lot of tires, Bridgestones and Firestones, which are just phenomenal products. So they're going to be installing tires, repairing tires, balancing tires. And then while the car is up on the lift and they're doing their oil changes, they're going to do preventive maintenance services. So they're going to really start off and get their hands dirty almost immediately at touching all the basic services. And once they build on that and they get proficient at that, we start to move them into other services, and they start to help the flat rate technicians in the shop as well on the more complex duties, and we just keep building on that until they're an accomplished technician.
Well, they keep building on the education, and that's just it. So for potential students out there, or for parents that are watching this podcast, the learning doesn't stop after Porter and Chester. You go into a company like Bridgestone, Firestone, and they're going to keep teaching you, and you're going to keep working your way up. That's how it works. Right. No,
it's interesting to listen to the foundational piece moving into the foundational pieces of employment. And and again, I think one of the things that we advocate to all of our students is that technology's here, it changes every day. You have to embrace lifelong learning, because the automotive industry has really transformed itself in the last 10, 15 years. The other thing I just want to point out is many of the automotive repair facilities that I go into, the days of it sort of being I'll call it a dirty, dingy, dark industry have completely completely been reformed. And I've been into a lot of shops, a lot of repair shops or repair facilities, and I'm amazed at how well lit, how clean, and and even how temperature controlled they are. You go back 10, 15 years and it was a different story. Today you go into a repair facility and it's very impressive, I think, in terms of the hand tools, the power tools, and all the technology that today's technicians are using in conjunction with the service aspect of the industry.
Right. So we're speaking with Scott Zimmerman. Give us your real title again, Scott.
I'm an area manager for Firestone Complete Auto Care.
Okay. Have you been to any of the Porter and Chester automotive programs? Have you seen the hands-on labs?
Absolutely. There's a branch in Rocky Hill, Connecticut that I visited often and worked with the instructors. And also there was a branch in Enfield, Connecticut that I visited often as well and was very familiar with the students and the instructors there.
And what was your impression?
It's just a great facility. It's a great program. It's in-depth, and it's really important that the students are involved. That I've seen students that are not as aggressive as others, and the students that are aggressive that go to Porter and Chester and they want to learn and they have the thirst for knowledge have just had beautiful, successful careers.
And that's one of the things too that Porter and Chester emphasizes is the soft skills.
Right.
It's not just the technical skills. Talk a little bit about that, Jim.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think for us, we recognize, listening to employers, like Scott, in the marketplace, that the technical skills are very important, and students are going to have to learn and grow over their career. But the soft skills, the ability to interact with a fellow employee, the fact that you have to be, you have to arrive early to work and be ready to work, when the bell strikes. Also working with customers. What I think a lot of folks, don't necessarily realize is that, from time to time, you're going to be interacting with customers, other employees, the parts department, and we really impress upon, our students getting them ready to work, and what does that really mean? And it's much more than necessarily just showing up on time. That's a given, but it's all those other intangible characteristics that are so important to becoming a valuable employee. And an advisor to potential customers.
Right. And the fun part is you get a shirt with your name on it, right, Scott?
Absolutely. 2 names, your name and the company name.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you get those uniforms. Well, Scott, I got to tell you, if someone watching this podcast wasn't inspired about, the need for these auto technicians, then something's wrong. And I'm sure there's a great earning potential out there too for folks that pursue this trade, correct?
It is tremendous, and one of the things I'll stress is what I call the return on investment. The small amount of money that you pay to Porter and Chester versus maybe a 4-year college, and the payoff and the earning potential that you can make in the automotive industry is just amazing. It's unbelievable, and the public just doesn't realize how lucrative it can be in automotive.
How many times have we said that, right?
Yeah. Well, it's amazing to me as well, because again, we're constantly, Ann and I are constantly, preaching to the public that these are very viable careers that are generally local. And again, I mean, folks have to get their cars repaired locally. It's not like it's something that can be outsourced or sent anywhere else. Obviously, you've got to source the parts and things like that. But again, it goes to supporting the local communities, making them stronger. Mm-hmm. And again, I think that for us, I mean, we're constantly trying to educate prospective students, family members, high school guidance counselors, high school trade teachers, vocational teachers, and even regular teachers. I mean, again, it's a great skill, to walk away from our school with. And again, I can't impress upon that one fact enough, is that you spend 12 months with us. And in that 12 months, it's you have a career, and you walk out with tangible skills. You actually have skills that you can deploy in the marketplace the day you graduate immediately. Yeah, and and really the sky is the limit. In terms of working hard and smart. Yep. And it's really governed by the individual student once they become an employee as to what they want to do. And I can't impress upon people listening to our and viewing our podcast here that this is a very viable career, and it's not going to go away. Nope. People have to move from place to place, and again, I would just advocate to all the people out there who might have some interest in the transportation industry to check it out. Yes. Come check out our website, porterchester.edu.
Porterchester.edu. That's right. So, Scott, what's your final piece of advice as we wrap up this podcast?
So the automotive industry is just very rewarding and enjoyable. You will always be able to provide for yourself and your family. It's hard work. It's physically and mentally demanding, but it pays well, and you're always in demand anywhere in the United States.
Well, if that doesn't get you to go to the website, porterchester.edu, nothing will. It doesn't get any better than that. Scott Zimmerman, you were an absolute pleasure, and thank you for shedding such great light on the career of our auto technicians here at Porterchester Institute.
Thank you.
Thank you. And, of course, thanks to you folks for tuning in to this edition of Inside Career Technical Education. Jim and I will be back again soon.